Hey mountain bikers, Andrew with Ride Eat Wander here, and today we're going to go over my bike for 2022, and what we have is a Specialized Enduro Evo. Now before we dive into everything that makes this bike what it is, let's talk about what Evo means for a minute for Specialized. So Evo is a title that was typically placed behind the names of bikes like the Enduro, the Stump Jumper, even the Epic. And typically what that means is it was basically a beefed up version or a more capable version of the base model. So they would have the Stump Jumper with all of its geometry, then they would tack on the Evo name, typically give it a different component spec, slacken it out a little bit, and make it a little bit more aggressive for downhill riding. Now, not surprisingly, the Enduro actually doesn't have an Evo version in Specialized's catalog, and probably for a very easy reason that it doesn't really need one. A stock Enduro is going to have both 170mm travel front and back, very slack and somewhat adjustable geometry. So really, if you're going to give it an Evo title, you might as well just buy a demo. So why I personally give this bike the Evo title is I gave it the Cascade Components link, which bumps up the travel to 180mm from 170, also adds a little bit more progression to it, and then also I bumped up the fork to 180mm travel up from the stock 170. But now let's go over the bike all together and see what I got going on. So let's go over the components that I've selected for this year's build. Obviously, this is subject to change, but this is kind of the bike that I think I'm going to typically ride for the whole year, just so I can get some good long-term data on all the components that I've had. So starting with the cockpit, I've got the Tag Metals T1 Enduro Carbon Bar. This is a 800mm width bar, 30mm rise. They have what's called their Oval Tech, which is kind of a spin on one-up components, kind of oval shape, although that's kind of more aero in my opinion, but we'll go over that in a different video. But so far it's been a pretty cool bar. I mainly like it because it's got 7 degrees of back sweep, and that is my preferred geometry when it comes to bars. I've got Ergon Enduro grips, got the oil slick collars, and I've got the Trick Stuff Dirtissima brakes, just because I'm a lot of guy and I like a lot of stopping power. We got a little cool one-up components EDC tool, something that I typically have had on all my bikes, and keeping everything together is a Chris King headset. I've got a bike yoke, 185mm dropper, mated to a Specialized power saddle. More on that on a different video. Moving downwards again, we got this Cascade Components link, bumping up the travel to 180mm, and got some better bolts, tie linkage hardware on there. Now moving over to suspension, I've got the full Fox factory setup. I've got a 38 factory up front, again running 180mm travel, and I've got a DHX2 coil. This bike typically comes with the Float X2, but I have swapped to the coil. I've liked it. Again, we'll tackle that on a different video altogether. Moving to the drivetrain, I've got kind of a mixed bag. I've got a SRAM X01 cassette. This is the 50-tooth GX axis. I've got a X01 bronze chain on there. Shimano cranks XT. Reason why I like to run those is at the time it was the only thing available in 165. I do like to run 165mm length cranks, just a little bit more clearance and a little bit more ability to pedal over rough terrain. And for the pedal, I've got the HT T1 Enduro. These have been really good pedals. I find them a good hybrid between a Shimano and a Crank Brother. Really good, firm engagement, but also lets your heel move a little bit without ejecting your foot like Shimano does. So tying it all together is my wheel set. This is my trusty go-to setup that I've had, I think, on 3 or 4 bikes. It's my Industry 9 Enduro wheel set. It's the alloy version. Internal width is 30.5, and it's the Torch hubs, not the Hydra hubs. I've loved this wheel set. It's given me no problems, and I just love the characteristics of it. So this was just supposed to be a quick overview of my bike that I'm going to be riding in 22. The weather is starting to turn really well for us, so I'm hoping to get out and do a lot more content. I'm going to do a lot of enduro specific content, open up a playlist that is everything enduro related, from maintenance to little quirks, little tips, so be on the lookout for that. But I've had the bike for a little bit of last year, but I didn't ride it a whole lot. But I look forward to really turning that around and put a lot of miles and hours on this thing. So thanks for watching my bike check on my Specialized Enduro Evo, and we'll see you guys next time.